bag of holding?
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to A Filthy Talk, Filthy Lot's weekly panel discussion show. We are coming at you live from North Vancouver on the traditional territories of the Squamish Nation. We would just like to recognize the privilege to work, play, and create on these beautiful lands. I'm Trevor Gemma, your host, and my co-host, Roz Young. You might not recognize us. We look a little strange today. And returning as the captain of the Starship Chatroom, Ash Turner, with her awesome new cat's eye glasses that I just have to, I told her this, but you make those look good.
Oh, thank you.
I know a lot of people have been complimenting you on the glasses, but I think it takes Ash to pull those off.
You guys are gross.
I'm biased. Yeah, I'm totally biased.
Barf.
First on the agenda, we have some business to attend to. We have to determine the winners. Winner. There's not multiple winners. There's one.
You're making it. You're just like making it sound not as exciting. You're a winner.
You're a winner.
You're a winner,
Oh my God!
baby.
Somebody is going to have a royal blast with Coming to America and the Pink Panther box set. And I have the names in my bag of holding. Gene McInnes. Congratulations, you have won
This
Coming to America.
beautiful box set.
And this beautiful box set of the Pink Panther cartoon collection, which super nostalgic. I used to love this cartoon.
Yes.
Yeah, so much fun. Courtesy of Kino Lorber Animation. And to quickly, actually, you know what?
Prizes.
We're going to segue into this
Oh,
one. We're going to
yeah.
go to Nerd News because there's something you want to talk about.
I do. Oh my goodness. Super sad news. If
Yep.
you have been on the internet at all, you will know that Jessica Walter passed. She has been a staple feature in amazing feature film and television for the last while. I mean, like,
Yeah.
going back a long time, she was on an episode of Love Boat.
Really?
Yeah, and I mean, if you've watched a murder mystery show in the last whatever, one of those actors who's just been like in an episode of everything.
See, I only know her from started with Arrested Development and then Archer.
And I mean, everybody
She's
knows her
amazing.
from Arrested Development.
Like,
She's just
her comedic
what a
timing
force.
is fantastic,
Oh
but
my gosh.
I don't know her previous work. Like, I probably saw stuff with her in it and just didn't know.
And she's an Emmy winner, but not for Arrested Development.
For what?
Look it up.
Oh. Oh, we have a fact checker to look things like that up. Jessica Walter, Emmy winner for? Yeah.
Like, I don't know how much, like, I've watched Archer 1 bajillion times, just all the way through. I love it so much. And her relationship, but some of the quotes that she does are just, I know that's the writer, but her delivery,
Amazing.
just,
What?
Rest in peace.
What's your favorite Mallory Archer quote?
she has a quote where she asks Lana something, and says,
Anna.
and she's asking for an example of something, you know, and Lana just gives her an immediate example, and she says, name 20 more! And Nat and I do that to each other all the time whenever someone's like, I have an example of that.
Name 20
Name 20
more.
more.
Jessica Walter won an Emmy for her role in the mid-1970s series Amy Prentice, a spin-off from the U.S. crime drama Ironside.
Oh,
She was also nominated for a bunch more.
Yeah.
cool.
I
Wow,
mean,
1970s. Yeah.
she was 80, which is, what a force to end. Spectacular life, and what an impact on.
I think my favorite
Culture,
I don't know
media.
that the quote was actually hers from Archer, but or no, sorry, Arrested Development was the whole like, if you don't drink booze once it's opened, it'll go bad. I've brought that one up in my personal life a lot of times.
Cheers.
Cheers
Jessica.
to Jessica Walter.
Amazing. What else is going on in nerd news for you?
Well, hold on. I'm going to use
wait.
that
Segue.
that Jessica Walter news to segue into our newest giveaway. We are giving away the complete season 6 of Archer on Blu-ray, featuring Jessica Walter as Mallory Archer. So to qualify for this one, you have to subscribe to A Filthy Lot on YouTube, and what was it? Comment on this video after it's live, not in the live chat, with Archer giveaway, and then tell us your favorite quote from the Archer series.
Bonus points if it's Mallory.
Yeah, no, we can't do bonus points. But
Bonus points for me that mean nothing.
I mean, we could tilt a giveaway. Who's going to hold us accountable for?
Extra sprinkles on your cupcake.
Yeah, maybe if it's a Mallory quote, you get 2 entries.
If it's a Mallory quote, I'll respond to every Mallory quote with another Mallory quote.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Yeah. I guarantee we're going to see just Lana. Okay, nerd news-wise, I watched the Snyder Cut of Justice League over the weekend. And
over the weekend, that was your whole weekend.
It's 4 hours. It didn't need to be.
Woof.
I don't feel like it improved on the Joss Whedon cut in immeasurable ways. It was entertaining, but I liked the other one as well. Like, a lot of people crapped on the first one, and I thought, the other cut. And I mean, they're beat-wise the same story.
But not for all the characters, right? Like, I haven't seen it, but I hear that Cyborg's character in particular is much expanded in the Snyder Cut.
You know what?
What do the audience
Cyborg's
think?
character.
Please message us. Let us know.
Yeah, that's true.
Were you a fan?
What did you
like
think
it?
of the Snyder Cut? I thought, the Joss Whedon cut, my opinion of it at the time was I thought they made Cyborg more interesting than I've ever found him before.
Do you watch Doom Patrol?
No.
You should.
Oh, okay.
Cyborg's great.
But
And Teen Titans.
I think that the Snyder Cut makes Cyborg a lot more broody, and then he just suddenly has a shift at the end, where I found him more identifiable in the Whedon Cut. I think they both have their wins. Like, they're not, it's not just across the board, this one's better than this one. It's like some aspects are better in one, some aspects are better in the other.
I think Nor will disagree with you. I hope he's in the chat.
Sure, I hope he is too. And I haven't talked to him about it yet. Oh, okay.
He's not in the chat.
He's
Well
not in
done.
the chat, says Ash.
Oh.
Yeah, other than that, let's get into it.
Do you want to talk about Cinnamon Toast Crunch?
Oh, right.
Does it have shrimp in it?
Cinnamon shrimp crunch. I find it so crazy that the guy who found the shrimp tails, if you don't know about this, it's on Twitter. This guy, Jensen Karp, found shrimp tails coated in sugar.
Maybe. I mean,
they're shrimp tails in his Cinnamon Toast Crunch. And when he tweeted at General Mills, they were like, nah, that looks like accumulated sugar. And it's like, I'm sorry, those are shrimp tails. And Ash, yeah, what's up?
They also said, please send them all to us in an envelope and stay home for 3 hours to make sure that we can get them picked up from you.
Yeah,
like,
FedEx
give us
will
all
come.
the evidence immediately, thank you.
Yeah, give us all the evidence after they denied that they were what they, But he's also got like DNA testing labs that are offering to test to make sure, like, to verify whether they're shrimp or not.
that part's my favorite. Like,
Whether the shrimp tails are
when I
shrimp.
was in science and people would be like, I got a weird thing. And I would be like, bring it to the lab.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
We went to a lab. There was also rat poop, what looks like probably mouse poop, baked into a bunch of the squares
Gross.
in the same bag. Yeah, it's a horror story.
If it's
Cinnamon
true.
Toast Crunch was my favorite cereal as a
Anyway,
kid.
debate in the chat.
Yeah, and look it up if you haven't seen it. It's
We
hilarious.
should,
But it's Topanga's husband. If you ever watch Boy Meets World, I don't know if anyone else had a crush on Topanga growing up, but like, it's Topanga's
Ash
husband.
had a crush on Topanga.
You had a crush on Topanga?
Oh yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
It was that smile.
Oh,
She just had a killer smile. It was
my
like half
heart.
her face. Yeah. Okay, so let's get into it. You may notice that we're dressed a little fancy today. If you've been watching for the last 4 weeks, we have been taking a bit of a deep dive into our show Ready to Roll, and that comes to a crescendo tonight. We've raised the curtain. We have lit the lights. We put on makeup. We've dressed up right, and now it's time to meet the Muppets. So bringing out first for you to meet is Chris Livingston. You've seen him before on many a Filthy Talk, and he playing the role of Alain, although not in makeup today. He's not as blue.
That's the usual right there. This guy, right there. That's a lot more usually. This is actually quite freeing. It's great.
Yeah, it's way different without the makeup.
I can
hey?
sit properly without arrows and blades on my back, and I will say it feels weird being in the outfit without the hair and the makeup. It's an odd feeling actually. The hair was like a balance. oddly.
Oh. And also joining us, we have, you've seen him, he was just on a couple episodes ago, talking about world creation. We have Matt Baker, also known as Seno Vestuasan.
Boo.
Wow, okay.
That's harsh.
It's a love boo.
Love.
Welcome, guys. It is kind of fun to wear the costumes without all
Yeah,
the
it is.
hours and hours of makeup.
I,
Although it's not so
I
bad for
don't
you.
quite feel whole without my luscious locks. I can move my head around without it like feeling weird. Like it's strange.
Yeah, I know. Usually my dreads are getting caught on something, and I'm like going to turn my head. I'm like, oh, never mind.
Yeah, my beard gets caught in the costume a lot. Like
Yeah.
I'll lift my head and there's like beard hair caught to the chainmail. I'm like,
But it's nice to wear it without the blue makeup. I'll say that. I'm not rubbing off on everything.
like
Although
Tobias.
you actually, the makeup team is amazing, and you actually do not shed nearly as much blue paint as I expected you to.
No, it's really not that bad. It's mostly like, honestly, it's going to sound gross, but it comes down to the things I tend to have the most contact with, so I'm holding it for a long time. So like my bow or something like that.
Oh, that's not where I thought you were going.
No. But like the inside of my neck, it will rub off. Anywhere where like heat can build up a little bit and it gets like, Yeah. All right.
I was like, why are you holding it that long?
Yeah.
But like you have. Oh, what's up, Ash?
Lala says, Chris, you asked for dreads.
I did, and they looked amazing, by the way, Lala. Beautiful job. Love the dreads. That's why I said they're a balance. Without them, I feel awkwardly out of balance.
Yeah, I do feel more like I'm wearing a costume and not embodying the character without all the other stuff on my head.
Is it easier to do things like this? In this picture, you guys are doing a big pose, being all cool on the set. Does it take all of the pieces all together for you guys to be able to act as your characters? Or can you do that? Could you do this without it being all the elements all together?
I mean, you could.
Yeah, I mean, I could be Seno without the costume, but like it definitely feels more like. Yeah.
I mean, that's just the thing. We were the characters. Like we were the characters first before we had costumes and makeup.
I mean, we were, but I will say, like that's 3 hours of makeup right there. That's not easy. But without it, I don't think I would have been able to fully bring to life Alain. Like, yes, I could put on a costume and stuff, but like that made it. Like that.
Do you spend any time after you get everything on looking in the mirror and kind of like moving different?
I actually, no, I don't.
No.
But I will say, no, but more just because we created, the character was already in me. Like Alain is a part of me. I mean, I imagine it's the same for Seno and stuff, but like once I'm Alain, I'm Alain. It was easy because he's already in there.
But like Matt, I know you chose like animal movement motivations.
Yeah, Seno has a lot of bird stuff going on, which is why I wanted the feathers. His family sigil is a raven. But yeah, he stands with his hands behind his back, like wings folded a lot, and the way he watches things is very bird movements.
It's funny. I think when you say it like that, it's like, I think Alain was. I try to be a pretty polite person for the most part in my day-to-day, actions and things like that.
Wait, you or Alain?
Me. Oh, okay. As a person. Me as a person, I try to do that, and I think that Alain represented all the parts of me that don't do any of that. And was just far less polite, just whatever. He was. So Alain a little bit came from a thing I did with Trevor.
Oh yeah.
A long time ago. We did this little short film together, and we tried to create our own little sound booth in my living room with some blankets and all these kinds of things, just so we could get some sort of dampened sound, and that was where that voice came from, which you'll hear eventually. But I basically walked up to Trevor, who was in this little sound booth, and I think we're giving him food or something through this little hole.
No, you were poking me
I was
with a
poking
stick.
you with a
Yeah, you
stick.
just went and grabbed, I think it was Dav's apartment. You grabbed like a broom handle. And I was like, it was essentially like a pillow fort with a microphone in it.
Yeah, our little sound booth.
And all of a sudden I started getting like broom handle poking me. I was like, what the fuck?
And I walked up and I was like, they don't lock it when you do that. That just became the beginning. That was ultimately where Alain began.
Yeah.
And then years later came back.
And if we just look at the two of you guys, you know,
Ooh.
all the elements of your costume that all comes together to be your characters. But yeah, we built these characters. You know, we did all that development and figuring out your backstories, and then we went to gameplay. How much of your character changed through actually playing that character versus what you had in your mind?
Good question.
I don't think Senno changed too much from what I had in my mind. Because, like, if I'm honest, Senno is me, but with a history background. So I just sort of went, and a little more bubbly of a facade. But yeah, I think he was pretty consistent throughout with how I imagined him beforehand.
Yeah. I don't know if Alain changed much because Alain was discovered as we went through it. Like, you know, it wasn't something, I mean, I knew some backstory. I mean, you and I talked a little bit about some of that and what was going on there, but it was very much, I discovered him as I was going. The funny thing is, and you know, like the pixie thing or whatever, right? But those were things I did, like, I literally came up with that and it just so happened that that's what you threw at us.
That's what I love about D&D so much, is that it's just a storytelling full of happy accidents.
Yeah.
You know, and it all just kind of worked out that everybody's doing improv, and you just lean into the yes and go. And
Yeah.
you know, you just accept the things the DM is throwing you and take those little kernels and turn them into amazing.
Or you roll to not accept them.
Well, and it's an improvised game, right? Like, we improvise it as we go, and I would say that very much I knew the fundamentals of who Alain was. And so every decision I made authentically as Alain, but that was how I discovered him. Because there were moments, and you guys could attest to this, where I did something and I was sitting there going, shit, I have to do this. And everybody's going to hate me for doing this, but this is what Alain would do.
So I have a question about that, but before we do, I forgot to do something once you guys came out here.
Oh, okay.
I apologize, Alex, but I'm going to do it now. So we have another little sneak peek for the people at home. And this is from something that we filmed in December. It's not the finished product. You're going to see some blue screens and stuff, but it's just, like I said, it's a sneak peek. It's not fully polished yet. So take a look.
Woo-woo!
Are we feeling rejuvenated yet?
You're not.
Are we?
You are inspired to write poetry.
Are we
Damn it, all the hell.
Are we in amongst the ruins?
I don't want to write poetry.
You have landed in the middle, and you can put your minis.
Well, this is familiar.
This is where we start. I'm so proud.
Now I must pixies around, are there?
Doesn't matter.
Oh,
None
I'm
of us
sure
are
there are.
named.
Not that you can see or hear.
Yeah, I'm sure they're here.
What's the name of that captain? Skyberry?
Skyberry.
General Skyberry.
General Skyberry!
Don't shoot. Wait. Maybe we shouldn't be yelling out.
I think it's too late for that.
No.
Skyberry! General Skyberry!
It's too late. It's too late.
It's still really cool. It's all
I'd like to
fake
just
now.
go around and freak out.
You hear a voice.
Oh my god.
Come this way.
Which way? You must be a little more specific, dear. Where'd you go?
The voice seems to come from down a space between two of the inverted pyramids.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Little sneak peek. Just a taste.
Oh my goodness.
Pretty cool. It's with the bioluminescent stuff.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
A very, very awesome job done by Set Tech on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All of
that was
that.
a
The Lek
challenge.
Ruins.
And when Aaron touches the wall and it all
yeah.
comes out, that was
yeah.
super cool. That was
Yeah.
the first time I'd seen that.
Oh yeah, there's some really good stuff. What an like the team here and the stuff we can pull off. It's
it's
always impressive. Always
amazing.
impressive.
Okay, I had a question for you.
Okay.
And so, Alain is a half orc,
Yep.
and in gameplay, you reference a lot of things as an orc, like
Yeah.
you say, not when you're an orc, or it's different when you're an orc, that kind of thing.
Yep.
But how did you represent the other half, the non-orc half?
He doesn't really.
Oh.
And mostly, So this is difficult because I don't want to give obviously too much away about backstory and all that kind of stuff because hopefully that gets discovered in time.
Yes, please say some of it.
Yes, but Alain has very difficult past, specifically with humans, and so he very much pushes down his human side or doesn't like to acknowledge his human half as much. So he likes to think of himself as an orc, and whilst he will have to come to terms with that one day, that's more why he represents that way. So he tries to stand up. He's like, no, I'm an orc. Okay.
So embraces one side and rejects the other?
A little bit, yeah.
Interesting.
Might lead to some internal turmoil at some point, but yes.
Yeah. I hate myself.
I hate myself. And have a little bit of a Smeagol moment.
Alain.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ash, you had questions there?
Oh, the chat has so many questions.
Bring them on.
Well, first off, there's been a lot of talk about people would love to see a series of drinking with Senno. Don't know if that could be a thing. And then
He likes to drink.
the first question is, Roz, do you prefer being a DM or a player?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I love both, but I'm so bossy that I love being a DM. I have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Matt's face like, yes, yes.
And I mean, once you start to DM and then you end up in those shoes a lot because it's the person who often makes the game go and makes it happen and get everybody together. And then when you get to be a player, it is such a treasured moment that someone invites you to play in their game, and it feels really special.
Do you find it challenging to stay in
I have
one
to
character
work?
versus like
No.
jumping around?
No, I don't find it hard to stay in my one character. I find it hard not to step on the DM's feet. And you have to work really hard because it's your job to not fuck it up for every other DM out there. Like, you'll never be invited to a table if you can't behave yourself. And so as a player. So you and all the other DMs, it's like a commitment that we all make together to be like, I'm gonna behave myself, and whoever is the game master today, it's their rule, is the correct rule. And I'm not gonna jump in and like do any of the storytelling that's their job today.
It's especially difficult when you're a player for one of your players. And they're DMing this time because they won't be able to help themselves but compare them to you. So
That's natural, that makes sense.
yeah, so you have to be really careful about not jumping in or stepping on their toes because you don't want them to feel like they're doing it wrong because everybody DMs differently.
There is no wrong as long as everyone is having a beautiful, fun, respectful time. Yeah.
Word.
Yeah, I love it so much. It's so good. What else?
Do you have more?
Oh, there's so many. I'll
Okay,
get
I
through
want
as
to
many
fire
as
one
you're
at Matt
letting me.
first. So because you co-created the world of Altero, had you played in your own world before or only DM'd?
I have done both.
Oh, okay.
Mostly, well, the first campaign that we ran in Altero actually started with us co-DMing. And then as we got close to filming the gameplay of Ready to Roll, I kind of switched into being one of the NPCs and more of a player so that Roz could practice more of running
Solo
everything.
Ah.
Which, tune in for at some point in the future, Roz and I are gonna co-DM some stuff here.
Hell
It's gonna
yeah.
be very exciting.
Very curious about that. Very curious to see how that goes.
Our players often tell us, Mom and Dad are fighting again. But it's really fun. It's such a good experience.
Yeah, it makes for really lively NPCs.
So the follow-up question is, do you find it more challenging or beneficial and fun to play in a world that you co-created? Like, does it have an effect on how you would play a character not knowing the world versus knowing the ins and outs of, like, the society?
It has an effect, but like, it doesn't bother me too much. It's more, DMing is where I more prefer to be in the world, and it helps to have co-created it because I can come up, I'm so familiar with it that even if it's something I've never thought about before, I can come up with it on the fly, depending on what players are doing or asking. And they'll be like, because players always latch on to one NPC that you didn't even name because they were nothing. And players are like, that's the one. And so knowing the world really in depth, you can come up with more about that character on the fly. Like, oh, they're from this country, so that's why you've never heard of them. But like,
I find it challenging as the DM for Matt sometimes, because if I mess up something, or I say something that impacts something that he or sometimes I don't even know about. Like if he's built something somewhere else, and I'm like, and it's this thing, and then he's like, no. And you can see a bit of the like, shut your yap conversations between the two of us.
You're breaking the world.
No, what are you doing?
Okay, go. What do you got?
How did you develop your voices, and what were your voice inspirations?
Ooh, I'll go quick on that one. I chose to just take a voice that, first of all, Rurika's a dwarf, and I hate the fact that dwarves are just default Scottish. I could have done like right, we're gonna go, boys, but I didn't want to because why the fuck is that a thing? And I chose to because I knew this was like long form. I wanted to take a voice that was easy for me to slip in and out of for like metagame moments or in-game, like just staying in it and not lose the voice. So I didn't take like a complicated accent. It was just basically my own voice and like a slightly, kind of like Seth Rogen, but he wasn't an inspiration. It's just what I sound like when I drop my voice to here. So
Good though.
what about you guys?
Go ahead.
yeah, I spent a whole lot of time coming up with Senno's accent. Obviously, it's based very much on German, but there are some things that I took from. I'm going to switch back into English just to make this easier to explain. But like some aspects that I took from it, like pronouncing, the difficulty with pronouncing THs. But I didn't do the like VFW, like any of that stuff, because I wanted it to be distinct from just regular accents. So I spent a lot of time
not
watching.
doing an accent, but doing a voice.
Yeah.
Right? Because like these
It
are
is
all
a voice.
fantasy made-up worlds.
Well, it's not a German accent, it's a Kaiman accent.
Exactly. But I spent a lot of time watching linguists and talking about like the differences between languages and to try and come up with a blend of a few different things. Yeah.
It was kind of hard because Matt picked Senno being from the same country of it's Kaiman, which is where we set the story. But then I'm dressed up like one of our town guards in Eleurin, but it meant that all my NPCs, unless they had a good reason not to, had to have the same accent that he had. So I was like, Matt, we gotta talk like this at home for a long time. And I was like, what are you even doing?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yep.
I don't know.
And then we both had to talk like this all the time at home.
Well, and yours was,
very fun.
I mean, I just kind of told the story of where it came from, and that was really the inspiration of Alain's voice, was that moment.
Well, I remember
What happened in that moment was honestly just being silly. And
Well, I remember
know.
having a conversation with you on, because when we first,
Well-
we played, like our characters, we played from level 1. Matt
did.
was actually training us on D&D, and as we were playing, Alain, he didn't have that voice.
No, he didn't in the beginning.
were trying to
but
find
we were going back and forth on should we do voices or not, and all these kinds of things. And then voices started to appear, voices of these characters. And I realized that really to commit to Alain, to commit to the whole thing, I needed to give him a voice. And you know, he's an orc, and certainly when you look at what orcs represent and all that kind of stuff, and it was actually understanding all of that stuff. And he's an orc, and he was he's actually got it. You know, he was raised on a ship by pirates essentially, and
Salt.
yeah. You know, and so all of this kind of stuff, and I put that into his background, and I went, okay, well, where's that? What is that voice? And it actually, thinking about that moment popped into my head. And then so, you know, Alain's voice appeared, and he just started talking like this, and that's who he was. That's where he comes from.
I love it. I'd like to get to showing a picture of our vampire character, half vampire.
Oh, do it.
Complicated.
Oh boy.
were
Background stories we got to tell there.
Were there any more quick questions from chat for these two before we start talking a bit about a couple more?
Absolutely.
Oh, goodness.
Okay, so these are really quick, silly questions.
Lightning round.
Lightning round. I'm just going to ask them all, and you guys can think about it for a sec. 1, would Alain eat Cinnamon Toast Crunch shrimp? 2, if Senno had a giant shrimp, would he attack immediately or roll for history? And 3, is Rurik allergic to shellfish?
Starting with Alain.
Yes.
Starting with up next, Senno.
So, what was the question for Senno? If he had a giant shrimp?
If Senno found a giant shrimp, would he attack immediately or roll for history?
Oh, he'd definitely roll for history.
Yeah, that's fair. And is Rurik allergic to shellfish?
Yes.
I don't think so.
Not that Trevor's aware of. I think if that was to come up and I ate some and then it was a constitution roll.
That would be a
pass.
DM choice right there.
Yeah, really? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. If I botched some sort of
100%.
something.
Yeah.
Not in the way that I built the character, but maybe now. I don't know.
He
see.
does now.
Yeah, no, Alan would have no problem eating some Cinnamon Toast Crunch shellfish.
He eats everything.
Shrimp's great this way.
Clean my teeth.
Speaking of people on your team who eat things, we've got our lovely.
She doesn't eat things. She predominantly ate me.
That's true. That's true.
Wait, that sounds
dude,
way worse than I meant that, actually.
That's all right.
I think Shay plays Sanguina, our half vampire. She couldn't be here today. She had a speaking engagement. But you and her have a special bond that weirdly
do.
developed during, like, our pre-game before we started filming the show.
Yeah.
We were playing other games, and Sam was DMing some of them for us, and Matt was DMing some, and just this relationship developed between Sanguina and Alain.
I mean,
I say relationship, and it sounds like romantic, but it's weirder.
I mean,
than that.
it's maybe slightly, but I don't know. It's in a very strange way. But
Sort of
ultimately,
undefined that way.
it is a little bit
They
undefined.
don't dig on labels, man.
No, I ain't no label. I think Alain recognized somebody who was being ostracized because of who she was. She was a half vampire, and everybody looks at her all of a sudden. And Alain grew up that way. He was very ostracized being a half orc in a world, which he learned later, truly despises orcs. Okay, like learned much later, all of a sudden, how bad that is. But yeah, and so I think they recognize that in each other, and so. In the pre-games, they got together because she needed feeding. Somebody had to feed her, and Alain.
Well, it was also, I remember you guys being in an alleyway. We had split
Yeah.
the party at that point, and
Classic
it was
you guys.
to prevent her from just feeding on people and getting us in trouble with like some town guard or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, we just turned it into a weird sex thing, and it was fine. But,
I remember that because I was DMing and she was like, I'm gonna feed, and I'm like, it's like noon, like daytime. I'm like, well, go in an alley. It's like, there's people around. So I just had a bunch of guards show up.
Yeah.
It was.
but she's feeding on me in a bush. Yeah. I mean, totally normal Tuesday.
Yeah.
Okay, so we do have, because Shay couldn't be here. Oh, that's a great picture. I
is
haven't seen like any of these. These photos are dope.
I know Colin took these photos.
Oh, thank you, Colin. We have a video from Shay talking a bit about Sanguina because she couldn't be here tonight. So, Alex, if you would like to roll the message from Shay, please.
So, Sanguina. Why would I want to play half vampire? Who wouldn't want to play a half vampire? In real life, I'm a half vampire. And so I figured, because I enjoy partaking in the blood of mine enemies, the easiest point would be to take my own personality and just leap into the fantasy world with it, which would require no effort whatsoever. And so there we are. She's fantastic, she's dark, she's got a short temper. These are all me, but she's also a little ridiculous and at times a little daft. Don't necessarily know what she's thinking or what she's up to, and that's fine. That's how she likes it. So yeah, she's fantastic, and that's why I wanted to play a half vampire. My experience playing the game was quite an experience because I am not a seasoned D&D player. I had not played a single game of D&D, as a matter of fact. So to be able to imagine anything that I could and try it and do it with consequences, mind you, but to be able to have that kind of freedom was unbelievably liberating. And to be able to feed off of the imaginations and creativity of all of the people around me. That was extraordinary. And I could see how that game could become highly addictive, like to a point of, you know, people not seeing you out in the world. You delve into something that is incomprehensible to the normal human brain. You're suddenly in the world that someone else created for real, not just in your imagination. That makes you not want to leave it. Unbelievably special, something that I want to revisit as often as I possibly can. And I would have to really, really encourage anyone who hasn't played D&D to see if you can find a group to explore that with, because you will probably surprise yourself. I surprised myself. And Sanguina didn't die, so I surprised myself in that way too, because she's a little bit of a dum-dum sometimes. So anyways, it was incredible, and I am so thankful to have been able to have had that experience.
That's awesome.
Thank you so much, Shay, for sending that in.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're gonna get you guys, so thank you for coming out here, but
Thank you for having us.
get out of
Fun
here.
to talk about it. That's all right, you crazy kids. Have a good day. All right, I'm out of here now. I'm done with this.
Seno, goodbye.
Hello. Okay, so we have the rest of our cast is here, though. So welcoming to the stage, Bev Rapley, also known as Aaron Saret. Hello.
Hello, nice to be here.
And welcome.
Thank you.
You got all dressed up.
It's, well, you know, I aim to please. It's a lot more easy to move around when I don't have 23 pounds of weaponry and javelins and a shield.
I don't miss the shield and hammer right now.
No, there's so much room for activity. I can use both my hands. It's unreal.
I love our two shield carriers.
And also to the stage, Alain Williams, who also, sorry, Elendar, oh wait, does Elendar have a last name?
The Silent, baby.
It's just Elendar the Silent, right? Yeah. I was like, why am I blanking? But okay, yeah, Elendar the Silent. Elendar.
Oh, I'm sorry, well, was I here to join in on complaining about constricting armor and items? That's weird. I don't think I'm in the right
Yeah,
place.
that's not your jam.
No.
No, you made a good choice with the very flowy, although I have seen you spin your staff and get it caught on
Yeah. It
cauldrons.
isn't without its hiccups, but you gotta look good, you know.
There have been days where I've just had to really bite my tongue because I'm so envious of your easy breezy beautiful, but
I'm just
I don't know. I've wanted armor and mail like this my entire life.
Yeah,
so.
I've seen you and Chris like drop something that they were holding and just like start crying.
You can't bend. You gotta go the vertical squat and then like.
Yeah,
I mean.
I think you and Chris are the most restricted. I'm like in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
then
Shay seems good.
I think Shay's good, but she has like a few more kind of like armor, like leathery
Yeah.
pieces that-
So I think me and Shay are like middle restriction, and then Seno
and then me, I'd say, yeah.
Elendar have it the easiest.
Yeah.
But as I've gotten like stronger and gotten used to like the movements of restrictions, and especially now that I don't have my weapons in my hands, I feel like a lot of that restriction is dissipated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a really interesting point about the strength required, because you have a long sword, you've got javelins, you've got the shield, and you talked a bit about that too, because your hammer is quite heavy and the shield, but you have differences in each arm. So I don't know, how did you guys work on? Because on set you have to just hold things and hold it for camera for a long time.
Yeah.
This arm's for opening pickle jars. And this one
can barely brush your hair.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I don't trust myself to brush my teeth with my left arm for fear that I'll put it in my. I shouldn't be. Yeah.
Mine is totally look at your life, look at your choices moment, where I intentionally made the choice because I didn't want it to look like I was moving a hammer around too easily, and you could see that there's like no tension in the arm and stuff. So I asked for the hammer and shield to be a good weight.
And And Julian and the props team delivered.
They did. I mean, the first hammer I was like, nah, let's go a little, because the first hammer was like solid and heavy and a bit much. I was like, no, I got to be able to swing it. I might use it at some point, but it was super heavy. When it's the shield and hammer in 2 arms, it's not so bad. Yeah. But because I can anchor the hammer on the shield, those scenes are fucking torture. Like, just.
We should show the sweet picture of each of you in your solo photo.
Look at the light catching Aaron's sword there.
Yeah. I've never seen these.
I haven't seen these either. Damn, okay.
These like, wow, I look tall.
So beautiful. And I think there's something about, like, the staff, and we incorporated that so much into the story, and all the elements that you have with you, and you each got, I love the way that costumes and props work to build you each, like the little books and the pockets and things that you have with you to carry.
Baggins?
You couldn't help yourself.
I can't help myself. But you have so many little elements from your backstories that you carry with you, and to be able to have that with you is so authentic for your character. Yeah. So I don't know if you guys want to share anything without giving too much away about things that you have with you other than what we just see on screen.
Well, it was funny when we were kind of given free rein to create a character. The only thing that really came to me was the teal color that was so important, and for some reason that was like I had to have that color, and like a lot of my backstory, or Aaron's backstory, was written around her being part of this order of the Church of Adana Lastra, and justice is her centering principle always. But then, that all came crashing down literally in flames. So she's
so much flames.
She was responsible for all of those flames. Yeah. Sometimes you just gotta burn down the fucking institution, man. And but
boy howdy did she.
Boy howdy, yeah. So one thing that's that we didn't get to see is the scarring across her chest that is of the phoenix, and her shield is the symbol of the phoenix as well. But it's kind of like the last piece of her past is her. And then, of course, there's the table talk joke of it being the paladin flaps, which there are so many flaps in this costume. It's been cool standing outside when the wind is blowing and just
flapping in the wind.
Yeah. Yep.
What drew you to a paladin? Because a lot of paladins have a bad rap.
They do.
Like people, and for good reason. Because they're like
I disagree.
Really?
Yeah. I don't play them, but
everyone's like, yeah, we're gonna go have fun, and then it's like, okay, cool, I'm a paladin. And everyone's like, oh, it's the wet blanket class.
But I don't think you didn't play Aaron like a wet blanket.
No, so
like at all.
And that's because of her trauma and her backstory as well, is like the institution that represents justice in the real world was doing like some super shady stuff, and that betrayal of like your lifelong principles, that kind of rubbed off on her. So I definitely wanted to have sort of a fallen paladin.
But what I really love that we developed with Aaron is this idea that the church and the institution of it was corrupt, but the god still supports her.
That's just it.
So her goddess is still like, I got you. I mean, you have some stuff to figure out. We're getting there. We're working on it. But like, she still sees a lot of potential in you, and you are still a warrior for Adana Lastra.
Yeah, I loved that. I really loved how you brought that in, and you wrote that. I think I wrote you 10 pages of character backstory told in flashback.
Oh, really?
I am a dork.
It's a novel. Everybody was like, here's like a page about me. And Matt sent a few extra pages because, Matt and Seno.
I feel like I wrote about 4 pages.
You also sent me a bunch. Chris sent me like some, random thoughts through the ether.
How big was the lens?
I forget what I sent, but I feel like every sentence was like packed, but I don't know that it ended up being too long.
Yeah, it was a couple pages, but Bev's was like a novel.
Wasn't Shay's as well?
Shay's is also a novel, and Shay's came in various actually I think this now is the new novel. But you had a pretty solid story of where Aaron has been.
Yeah. And then one thing that just absolutely continues to this day to blow my mind because like as I watch more and more of like the tabletop and like when I put this armor on, like my inner child, of course, is like, oh fuck yes, we won. But like a lot of the Fallen stuff and the principles, I'm like, oh well, like why would this make her angry? And then I'm like, sort of forced me to look at myself. And again, look at your life, look at your choices, and I'm like, I want to make this character so different. She's going to be so like badass and kind of prickly and blah 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 blah. And then a lot of like this like kind of heavy stuff comes up in the quest line, and then you're like, oh, it me, it me.
So is this your first D&D character?
No, I had a ranger in high school, and I had a druid in college. Both were male. So this is my first female character.
Oh, because you think maybe that's why you had more of a personal link to the character? Like trying to, like, accidental rather.
Yeah.
Like, where you made the character and then through playing it realized that there was more of yourself in it than you intended?
You know, that's a really odd question because when I came to this job, I was at such a crossroads in my life, and I was in like a pretty significant bicycle accident and had to put my entire life on hold, and kind of had that moment where I stood back and took in my surroundings and just said, this isn't sustainable. I'm so far away from who I am in the name of progress and you know what society deems as success. So in a lot of ways, it was God, so emotional. It was like a twisted, beautiful coming home.
Oh. Now, okay, you're
She says,
a very okay. Ash, go, and then I got
Aaron drinks about it. It's fine.
What do you got, Ash?
The chat would like to know what are your alignments, and please give us a little bit about your backstories to get to know more about your character.
Let's start with
I've
Alain.
talked so much. You go.
Yeah, go Alain.
Okay, sure. I think my alignment is always lawful neutral, and I tend to go with like any lawful, and because I play monks and I only ever play monks.
That's a really important point. If people are just watching now to know that.
Sorry, yeah, my character is a monk and I only play monks. Like that's my, that was my one vow, was that I was like, the first time I ever played D&D, I was like, can I be Jackie Chan? And they were like, yes. I was like, sick. So, so like I legit, like I just like, I wanted to be like not necessarily Jackie Chan, but like the archetypal kung fu hero. Yeah. That's my geekdom is in like martial arts, kung fu, cinema, and all of that stuff. And as soon as I played it, I think my friend played a paladin and I played a monk in the very first D&D game I ever played. And I was like, oh, this is me forever. And so every character I've played since has been a monk, but been drastically different than the one that came before it.
Is that drastically different because of subclasses, or?
It's drastically different because of every other variable, right? It's like subclass, backstory, race, age, like anything. You can't help but make a new character, right? You can't help but have that character be someone else. This character is an homage to a character I played a few years beforehand, who, the way I kind of frame it is that character is the archetypal hero, like the archetypal hero that people sing songs about. This version of the character is like a spiritual kind of like 17-year-old kid who desperately wants to be that kind of a hero. And so like he's allowed to fuck up and roll nat ones and get things wrong and not be as good at things. Or if he is really good at one thing, he's bad at everything else. So like he's good at martial arts and being a shadow monk, but he's bad at being a person.
Yeah.
Right? And
He's
I was
learning.
like, oh, and I was like, oh, like a teenager. That's what a teenager is. Like they're good at a thing, and then they're like, but I don't know anything else. So they pretend until they figure it out, right?
Fake it till you make it.
And he
Fake it till you
is
make it.
quite faking it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's faking it hard.
So we had a question a while ago about the voices. Do you want to do a bit of the two voices?
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. So I'll give you a hint. The second voice is just me terrified. It says, guys, I don't like this very much. But you don't hear that often because he's always putting on a front of being like, it is I, the monk of darkness and shadow and silence and.
Unless you're pretending to be a noble bodyguard.
Yes, in which case I'm like, mew, but at the end of the day,
So
he's
many
just,
performance roles.
Yeah, he's.
Now, we could reveal this, because I think you didn't do this in gameplay, you did it in the pregame.
Right.
Was that you mentioned that you that basically you're constantly casting minor illusion.
Yes.
To alter your voice.
Yes, that it was like it was almost like I have feelings about this version of this character, but that's why I took that piece of it and had my fun with it. It was like a Zack Snyder Batman. Oh. Right?
It's altered.
It was like, yes, it is I, the darkness. And then he like trips and falls like, ah, shit! Right? Like that's the vibe, is that he was allowed to be flawed.
I'm assuming lawful good?
Well, there's a little bit of controversy about that because technically paladins must be lawful.
Yeah.
And she was lawful since, she was found on the steps of a cathedral half dead when she was like 9.
Classic.
And she was raised by the order. So she's lawful in that, but her alignment broke. And she's tired. But yeah, she's a vengeance paladin. Her vengeance is against, the order, and she's got her god on her shoulder to help her with that. And then, so yeah, she, as opposed to being lawful, I think she's definitely chaotic good. She wants to do the right thing, but she's tired and she's angry and she just doesn't have it in her to fuck around, but she still has that really strong sense of justice. Like, I like to joke that I'm a really shitty Libra in real life, and I am.
I don't think there's anyone that's holding you accountable. Like a committee of Libras are like, you've been fucking up. Like,
we have notes.
The Council of Libra has spoken.
Give us the L back.
But we can't decide on her punishments.
I love that because the scales of justice sort of idea, and just and unjust, is something that we explore a little bit. But also for Aaron to know that, she's on this path but isn't sure how to go any way forward now. It's just a fun thing to get to play with as a DM, for someone to bring that kind of character to the table.
Well, and me.
So good.
Ash, was there a follow-up to the alignment thing? I thought it was a two-parter kind of thing.
Yeah, it was
The
about
voices.
backgrounds and.
It was alignment and a little bit about your backstory.
Oh, okay. Well, you kind of got into that with the whole dropped on a cathedral thing, and.
Yeah, so she's a half elf.
Why did you guys choose elf and half elf, by the way?
Well, because I think that you beat me to the punch on being an elf, and I was like, I don't want to be the same. I want to be different. So I was like, all right, I can do half elf. But then also, I'm so obsessed with Lord of the Rings. I've always been so obsessed, and I wanted the ears, the ears that was like, not too much, not too elfy, but but then also to bring that flaw, that inner turmoil to the table without going drow. What's more toxic than a human?
Yeah, that's fair.
Sorry.
I also, for Aaron, I love her as a half elf in the sense that she's constantly presented with two things and can never choose.
She's such a shitty. Oh my god, me.
But I just, and eventually she's on a path where we're gonna find out, right? If she can find what is the right choice for her.
Mm-hmm. And if when we get to season 2, I got plans. I'm gonna fix all of that. I didn't mean this.
Me too.
Yeah.
Why did you choose? Because you're specifically a wood elf, right?
Yeah.
And why a wood elf?
Because it automatically gave me a sense of social separation.
Okay.
I tend to play non-human characters, and that probably goes deeper into something about me. But I think the idea of playing a wood elf allowed me to be separate, allowed me to be not from society, which means that I could, as soon as I thought it, I thought, oh, as soon as he gets here, he's out of his element.
Okay.
And that was a lot of fun. I really dove into the idea of him being bad at stuff. Dope as shit at stuff, but also to challenge him and myself in those ways on the character sheet and at the table, because I had just finished playing a level 20 campaign and I was awesome at everything. So it was nice to be bad at things again and have in-world excuses for why and stuff. And so
Okay, so you have been a player for X number of years.
Yeah, maybe since 2009, 2010.
So did you find playing a game that we're intending on doing reenactments for this, did you find it overly restrictive?
That was exciting. It was exciting to me. It was more exciting than it was restrictive. Because I remember when I sat down with Matt when I got here, my first or second day at the company, and he was like, all right, you're going to roll a character. And I'd already come with half a sheet filled. I was like, I know I want this and this and this, but I have some things I want to answer, like what can I play? And he basically said, keep it to the player's handbook plus a tiny bit if you want to play around a bit. And I was like, okay. So I'm not gonna play a giant bug man. I'm not gonna play a 7-foot tall bug man, which was, and I was like, maybe? How much?
No.
How far can I go, right? But,
how much are you glad that you didn't bring that to the makeup team now? Because you would have been in makeup for
I think by the time
would have been CG probably.
I think by the time it's a bug man, it's not a makeup.
Yeah, it could have been though. Have you seen what they could do?
Like a helmet.
Oh man, they'd put you on stilts.
They would be involved. That'd be like
they could still do
thing. Yeah, like a full creature costume. But even then, 7-foot tall insect, unless it's got a really thick middle.
I got it. Oh, I got it.
Thorax. Thank you. That's what I was looking for.
We wouldn't have been able to fit you in any of the tower sets.
Yeah.
I would have figured it out.
It would have been.
We're going into Hammerlane's office. You gotta wait outside.
No. I wanted. I also I thought I started to think in those kind of ways for what is a kind of ease of access and ease of process. But otherwise I was like, fuck, they get to dress me up as a monk and I get to do dope shit. I didn't feel restricted in a negative way at all.
I didn't feel like. There were not very many times at the table where anybody looked at me with the concern of, I shouldn't do this. Instead, it was me hearing people in the background from our making teams being like, don't let them do that. No. And instead it was like, well, I guess this is happening. I guess you're going to climb all sorts of things and then jump out a window and fall through a bunch of trees.
I mean, at that moment, he literally goes, do you hear that, stunts? At the table, which was a funny ass moment. Okay, I'm sorry this goes so quickly, but I'm gonna quickly answer the questions myself. Chaotic neutral. I've made 6 characters. They're all chaotic neutral. Which again says more about me.
Hey, Alain, shout from offset. What's your alignment?
Terrible.
Neutral.
I think he's
alignment
neutral
is
too.
terrible.
Oh no, I meant terrible. Like you failed.
Say that to the archer. He's gonna feel great.
Seno, are you over there? Neutral good.
Chaotic neutral. He's totally got his own like rules and codes and what he thinks is right, and doesn't give a shit what everyone else thinks. I am a dwarf because I am a dwarf. I even had people ask if I was wearing a fake nose when they first saw me in makeup, and I was like, nope, ears are fake, nose is me. Yeah, I'm built like a dwarf. I'm just built like a dwarf.
You're like the upside down triangle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it just is natural. I've always wanted to play a dwarf.
The first time I met you, I was like, here is a gentleman, and I don't often say this, that I would not want to take on in a fight.
Yeah, word. Yeah.
That's
It's ill-advised.
That's a compliment.
I took it as one.
Why are we fighting everyone?
You wanted like a hint or like a tidbit into like backstory and things like that. I'm from like a secret like ninja order in the woods on an island far, far away, and I only want to show these off because I don't think it ever comes up in the game.
Doesn't.
And it's just a part of my costume, and it jabs me in the arm, and it's like, use me, throw me at things, throw me at the camera people, it doesn't matter anymore. But these were painstakingly crafted by our props department.
Was it Chelsea?
I think it was a Jordan x Chelsea collab. These beautiful feather-shaped darts that I got a chance to say that my character had, but then forgot I had them and never actually pulled them out. So
I have a little thing. We were talking about hidden stuff on you. There's one of the rings that Rurik wears. I wear it on my left hand, and you wouldn't see it because it's my shield hand. So most of the time, I have my shield on me all the time. But it is also a ring that I can make invisible at will.
Did you get it from Zelmax Emporium of Wonders?
I got it from Zelmax Emporium of Wonders for all your magical needs.
Wait, what the fuck just happened?
When I purchased all my magical stuff from Zelmax Emporium of Wonders, I got a deal, but I had to promise to plug it.
Got
So I got to plug Zelmax all the time. It's in Rake. If you're ever in Rake and you need magical items, stop by Zelmax Emporium of Wonders.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
We got tipsy at a party and role played that.
But so that ring, I wouldn't wear it because it would rub against the shield, but I'd always, I'd get my stuff from props and I'd take my ring and put it in the bag of holding.
Because it matters,
so I had it
right?
on
Like,
me.
it's super weird, but it matters.
It does. Okay, thank you guys for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris and Seno. Oh, Chris and Matt, sorry.
No, it's the
you
same
got
thing.
it right. Interchangeable.
You got it right,
Thank you, Bryce. Thank you, Ash. Thank you, Caleb. Thank you, Silas. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Shannon, and everyone. Woo! Love you all. Stay tuned for...
Drawn and Cornered.
What?
Drawn and Cornered is on Sunday.
Yeah, on not on a Filthy Lots YouTube channel, but on a Fandom Lot. The third episode of season 2, sorry, of Drawn and Cornered. And next week, Filthy Talk back here. Till then, stay filthy.